Hi guys. So sorry about that. I'm a little bit late today, but today we'll be doing our week 2 of Coding Club. And so this week we'll be talking about conditionals, and we'll mostly be doing our stuff on a collab. So as we're working, as we're working, you guys can create your own collab called, you can call it Coding Club Week 2 or whatever you'd like, and then follow along with some of the problems that are here. And yeah, so I'll wait, I'll give like 1 more minute to see if anyone else comes in, since I just saw a couple people come. All right, it seems like most of the people that are here, for the lesson are here already. So I'll just start our lesson. So our lesson today is Python conditionals and if statements. Um, so just wondering, just for a show of hands, do any of you guys here know conditionals or have any knowledge about it? Guys can just hmm? Oh, okay, that's great. So um maybe okay, well, maybe one of you guys could just so I'll just give a brief overview. So since three of you guys already know it, it's pretty cool. So conditionals are basically logical like conditionals are like equal something, or like mathematical comparisons kind of, and they use the typical logical conditions we have in mathematics. So you can check if two things are equal to each other by using A is equal to B. Um, you can check if a number is less than something by using the less than symbol, and that's it's like if you look on your keyboard, it should be like your comma and period, and you just have to press shift to enter those. There's less than, and then there's less than or equal to, and then greater than and greater than or equal to. And to clarify for less than or equal to and greater than or equal to, you make sure the equal to comes after the greater than sign, or else Python will get mad at you, I think. And a good way to remember the order of that is, if you when you say it out loud and you say less than or equal to, you say less than before you say equal to. So equal to usually comes after the less than sign. Um, so now that we know what these typical expressions are, we have to know what these are actually used for in our code. So these conditions can usually be used in separate ways, and most commonly it's used in if statements and loops. We'll be going over loops on another day, but for today we'll be going over if statements and elif statements and else statements. So first off, an if statement is written by using the keyword if. You just type if and then your condition and then a semicolon and then whatever you want the code to execute. So in this case, A is equal to 33 and B is equal to 20. And then if we write the code if B is greater than A, then we'll print B is greater than A. So as you can see, when we run this code, it prints B is greater than A, since A is assigned to 33 and B is assigned to 200. And when you compare 200 to 33, 200 is greater. So that's why, and when you check it with the conditional, it's true, and therefore it prints B is greater than A. Uh, and with a lot of with conditionals, it's important to keep track of indentation. So this is something that's pretty unique to the Python language, as Python relies on indentations, um, which is just white space at the beginning of a line. It's to indent, you just press tab to define the scope in the code. And for this, other programs usually use curly brackets. And what we mean by scope of the code is it's basically like which part of the code that this segment is running in. So like in this case, if would be on the so this print statement runs like under this if statement, while this if statement runs like as part of the main code. And this print statement is just only part of the if statement and will only run if the if statement is satisfied. So if we don't indent this, so indenting it will make it run normally and it'll print B is greater than A. But if we look at, this is the same as the example above. If we do not indent it, then Python will throw you an error and it'll tell you expected an indented block. That means that after every if statement, you should have an indented block that is what is inside the if statement. So that's why indentation is really important. Make sure when you're doing Python to keep track of where you're indenting and where you shouldn't be indenting, because that can often make the difference between a code working and a code not working. So any questions thus far about if statements? All right, that's cool. So the next step is the next part of if statements is elif statements, and elif statements are they are it's how to say it? They're like, it's a way of saying a Python saying if the previous conditions were not true, then try this condition instead. And an elif statement can only come after an if statement has been stated. So in this case, A is equal to 33, B is also equal to 33. And our first if statement checks if B is greater than A, then print B is greater than A. This is the exact same thing we had in our first example. However, in this case, A is 33 and B is 33. And since they're equal, then 33 is not greater than 33. And it'll skip on to the next statement. And the next step, it asks you, else if, so if B is not greater than A, then we'll check if A is equal to A is equal to B. And in this case, 33 is equal to 33. So therefore it'll print A and B are equal. So the next thing we need to learn is else statements. And the else statements is a keyword that catches anything which isn't caught by the preceding conditions. So let's say, A wasn't equal to B. Like let's say it was like 32, I think, yeah. No, 34. So let's say A was 34. This wouldn't print anything since there's no else statement, and neither the first nor the second condition is satisfied. So that's why it's important to have an if statement, a lot of else statement times. So, oh, sorry, this is the wrong code. So we have the same numbers in this case. So A is 200, B is 33. So we first check if B is greater than A, and 33 we know is not greater than 200. So it'll skip on to the second else if statement. It'll check if A is equal to B, which it's 200 is not equal to 33. And then that's why it'll print A and B are equal. And so it'll check if A is equal to B and 33 is not equal to 200, so it won't print they're equal. And then lastly, it'll print lastly else doesn't check for any conditional. So as long as any of the conditionals above aren't satisfied, it'll print A is greater than B. So as long as B is not greater than A and A is not equal to B, it'll just print that. So that is basically else statements. It's usually good to have an else statement at the end of at the end of most if statements, because you usually want always want to back up just in case none of your conditions are satisfied, unless you're completely sure that at least one of your conditions are satisfied. But in general, it's good to have an else statement. So the next topic is and keyword, and keyword is a logical operator, and it means exactly what it sounds like. It's basically chaining together two conditionals and checking if both of them are satisfied. So in this first case, in this question, we're checking if A is greater than B and if C is also greater than A. And if that is satisfied, then we'll print both conditions are true. And you can see in this case that is true since 200 is greater than 33 and 500 is greater than 200. However, if we alter this code a little bit, like let's say we make C200, C100 in this case, then what do you guys think this code would print if I change C to 100? So you guys can you guys can chat it to me. So what do you think? A is equal to 200, B is 33, and C is 100 would run when I press the run button. You think both conditions are true if C is 100? Error. Yeah, it wouldn't. So exactly, it wouldn't print anything. So I believe someone said, Amos said error, and it wouldn't print an error because there's technically nothing wrong with the code. All the rules of Python are being followed, but like Matt said, it'll print nothing, and Angelina said. So let's say I run this, it won't print anything since I don't have like an else statement that's catching it just in case that none of these are conditions are satisfied. So an and statement, both sides have to be true. If one side's true and the other is not, it still won't execute. And if both are not true, it won't execute either. So the next statement is an or statement, and this is different from the and statement since you only require one of them to be true. So either A is greater than B or A is greater than C. So if we run this, it'll print at least one of the conditions is true since 200 is greater than 33. But however, 200 is not greater than 500, but that doesn't matter since A is already greater than B and one of the conditions is satisfied. Therefore, this whole expression is considered true. So yeah, as you see, if we just quickly print, if we print this should print true. So that's basically what an or statement is. And so our next question is a next topic is a nested if statement, and nested if statements are essentially if statements inside another if statement. And we have x is equal to 41, and we're checking if x is greater than 10, then we'll print above 10. And if x is greater than 20, we'll also print and also above 20. And otherwise, if it's not above 20, we'll print else, it'll print, but not above 20. So an nested if statement, it's a little, I'll run you guys through the logic of this. So the first step is it'll check if x is greater than 10. And since x is greater than 10, it'll go into this nested if statement. However, if x wasn't greater than 10, then it would skip all the way down here to like whatever code is written down here. Like let's just say print like ABCD. Let's set x equal to 9. So yeah, that's so let's say it is greater than 10. Let's say x is 41. Then the first thing it'll do is it'll print above 10, and then it'll go into the second if statement. So it'll check after checking if it's greater than 10, it'll check if it's greater than 20. And if it is, it'll print also above 20. And if it's greater than 10 but less than 20, it'll print but not above 20. So let's say what would the quick on understanding. So what do you think this would print if x is equal to 19? So let's say we plug 19 into this and you follow the code. Is 19 greater than 10? Above 10 but not above 20. Yep, that's correct. Exactly, because so if you see, we can validate that answer above 10, but not above 20. Since it is greater than 10, so it'll print above 10, but it's not greater than 20. So it'll just go to the else statement and print, but not above 20. So good job, Matt. That's the correct answer. And we're also going to go over the pass statement. So although we're not going to use this today, the pass statement is often useful in a lot of loops, which we'll learn, yeah, I think tomorrow or in 2 days. So a pass statement basically just does nothing, and it is kind of boring as of now, but it'll be useful later on. So I'll just go over this pretty quickly. And if A is equal to 33 and B is equal to 20, if B is greater than A, it'll just pass it. It won't do anything. But this is usually write the pass statement to avoid getting an error. So, if for some reason you just want the if statement to do nothing, but you don't want to do this because this is just gonna give you an error, you write pass, and that's going to kind of avoid your code getting an error. So that's pretty much all the stuff you need to know about conditionals. So for the next like 30 or 40 minutes, we're pretty much just going to be doing practice problems, since practice is probably the best way to get used to this. And all the practice questions I got are from this website called CodingBat, if you guys want to see it. So if you go to codingbat.com, it's a very useful resource um, to do Python warm-up questions. And I'll just post a link for you guys in chat here, just so if you guys want to reference it outside of the club, codingbat.com. It's a very useful website. And basically all my problems are full from there. You'll see there's like stuff about strings if you want to go over those, which is what we learned last week. And there's logic, and then there's a bunch of other logic. One is what we're going to be doing today. I have a couple of questions from there on our collab. So yeah, if you guys ever want extra practice, CodingBat's a great resource. And so our first question that I got from CodingBat was the squirrels in Palo Alto spend most of their day playing. In particular, they play if the temperature is between 60 degrees and 90 degrees inclusive. Unless it is the summer, then the upper limit is 100 instead of 90. So given an integer temperature and a Boolean is summer, print true if the squirrels play and false otherwise. So these are the three test cases you guys might want to try. So the first one is temp is equal to 70 and is summer is false. That'll print true. Since 70 is between 60 and 90. And then the second test case, temp is equal to 95 and is summer is equal to false. And 95 is not between 60 and 90. And therefore it'll print false. And then the last test case is temp is 95, is summer is true. This is different from the second test case because when it is the summer, then the upper limit is 90 is 100 instead of 90, so it's from 60 to 90, and 95 is in that range. So try to create a code that that can take all three of these test cases and print out true, false, and true for those respective answers. I'll give you guys like 10 minutes to try this question. If any of you guys are stuck, feel free to message me uh like a question. I can, I'd be happy to give you guys hints on this one. And I'll just give everyone a hint for now. So this first question requires you to use a nested if statement. So uh take that information and do what you please with it. Oh, wait, Matt asked the question. One of the lines I have is if summer is equal to false. It says syntax error. How can I fix that? Um, does anyone anyone here want to help Matt out a little bit? There is a very subtle error there. It's a quite a common mistake. So yeah, okay, thank you, Angelina. Yep. So everyone's saying equal to equal, double equal to. So I think I might have spent a little bit not enough time on this, but when you're comparing two values, you have to use equal to, so double equal to. If you're only using one equal to sign, it'll think you're trying to assign a variable, and that's why using double equal to sign is you have to use double equal to when comparing two values. So Matt, I hope that helped to resolve your syntax error. All right, it's been about like 7 minutes. So let me just, if you don't mind, I'll just take a poll. Is everyone here, if you guys are finished with the question, could you guys just like private chat me like anything? You can say like hi, hello, like done. Or if you just want to put like a letter or something goofy, that's cool. All right. Okay, quite a few people are done with this, so um, don't fret if you're not finished yet. I'll give you guys like, let me see, I'll give you guys like another minute. Uh, and then after that, I'll walk you through the answer to this one. I think you have to use false capital F instead of false, right? Um, so someone, maybe someone could help answer Matt's question on that one. Uh, Actually, I'll just answer it. So, yes, you do have to with the in Python false. If you want to reference false as a Boolean, you have to use capital F instead of lowercase f. Lowercase f is like a variable false, not it's not the Boolean false. So, uh, yeah, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, good job, Matt. That's good like debugging skills. You change, lowercase false to uppercase false. Anyways, so it's almost time, so I'll just go over my approach to solving this question. So quickly, um, the whole logic behind this is so if first check if it is summer, and then and then check if the temperature range, the temperature is in range. And so that's pretty much our code outline for this one. And we can start writing our code now. So if we're first trying to check for temperature, so we can do if is summer is equal to false. And oh, that's Java. Okay. If summer is equal to false, another way to do this actually is or is you can do start with false or true. I'll start with true actually. So a shorthand way of doing this actually is you can just do if is summer. Since is summer itself is already a boolean, you don't have to check if it's equal to true or not. So I just like to write it in this shorthand way. So say if is summer, then the temperature range is from 60 to 100. So we will print, so let's say we'll print whether temp is greater than 60 and temp is less than 90. Sorry, less than 100. Less than or equal to actually. That's it's inclusive. And then let's say it's not if it's not the summertime, then we have an else statement, and we will print in this case the temperature range is from 60 to 90, so we'll print temp is greater than or equal to 60 and temp is less than or equal to 90. And if we run this should print true. And if we change our test cases, we change this to 95 and we change this to false. This will return false. 95 and true will return true. And if we come up with another one as well, like temp 100 is somewhere true, that should return true overall. So yep, and that's exactly what we see. However, we change it to like 101, that should return false. And that's exactly what we have here. So yeah, that's our we wrote our first, wait, we wrote our first if statement question. So the next question here is given two. So the second question is I believe on coding that it's called sorta sum. And basically given two integers, a and b, you should return their sum. However, if the sum is in the range 10 through 19, however, sums in the range 10 through 19 inclusive are forbidden. So in that case, just return 20. Basically, how this question works that if a plus b is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way up to 19, if that's the sum of a and b, then you want to just print 20. Otherwise, print out the sum if it's not in that range. So this question is probably a little bit easier than the last one. So I think 5 minutes should suffice, and we'll go over the answer at 7:39. And once again, if you have any questions about how to do this question, you feel free to private chat me or ask in everyone. See if someone else has an answer to your question. All right, how's everyone doing? Are we all close to finished or completely finished? Let's see. Close, okay. Everyone's very close. All right. All right, that means I'll give you guys to like 7:40. Yeah. Yeah. All right, sounds like a good time. Okay, cool. I see a couple people are done already. Um, so we'll go over the process to this question. So given two ints A and B, return their sum. However, sums in the range 10 through 19 inclusive are forbidden. So in that case, we just return 20. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna first check if um sum is sum between 10 and 19. We'll print, we'll print 20. And then if the sum is between, if the sum, otherwise, I guess, print, just print the sum. So first thing first, what we're gonna do for this question is, uh, oh wait, okay. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is, we are going to create a variable sum and make that equal to a plus b. And so now that we know what the sum is, we can compare that to see if it's in the range. So if the sum is greater than or equal to 10 because it's inclusive, and sum is less than or equal to 19, then we will print 20, which is exactly what this first part is telling us to do. So if it's between 10 and 19, we will print 20. And otherwise, we will print, we'll just print the sum. So let's say we run this, you see when A is 3 and B is 4, the output is 7. When A is 9, let's change that, and B is 4. No, yeah, when A is 9 and B is 4, that should return 20, because 9 plus 4 is 13. I'm slow at math. And then since 13 is between 10 and 19, then it'll just return 20 since the sums between 10 and 19 aren't allowed. And then let's say we change A is 10 and B is 11. Then the total sum is 21. Since 10 plus 11 is greater than 20 and greater than 19, and therefore it does not satisfy this first if statement. Enter sum instead else. So does anyone have any questions on this practice question? practice problem? Okay. All right. If I don't need to clarify anything, then we'll move on to this next one. Next ones are, as we move on, it'll probably be harder. So if you do have anything that's confusing you a little bit, even like the tiniest bit, make sure to ask, since programming really builds on top of each other, builds on top of ideas that you've already learned. So our next question is, given a non-negative number num, return true if num is within 2 of a multiple of 10. Note that, remember in our first lesson, that modulo is basically the remainder of dividing a by b. So 7 mod 5 would be 2. And the way we use modulo is the percent sign in Python. And so 12 would return true because 12 is within 2 of a multiple of 10. And 17 would return false because it is not. So the lower end is 10 and it's not within 2 of 10. And it's also close to 20, but it's not within 2 of 20. So num is equal to 17 it's not quite there and would return false. And num is equal to 19. Since it's within 2 of 20, then that would return true. So this one is a little bit more difficult and requires using some and statements and a little bit more complicated logic. So I give you guys like 10 minutes to do this. If you guys are finished like midway, just tell me if you're done or not. So we can save some time for the other two questions. Right, so um, you guys can get started now, and we'll reconvene at let's say 7:53. All right, just to check in with everyone, how are you guys doing so far with this question? This is given a non-negative number n. Okay. All right, is anyone done yet with this question that hasn't already told me so? I think there's like 3 or 4 people that are done. Do you guys do you guys need a little bit more time for this question? Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. We'll give you guys a little bit more time. It's like 7:53. I think that's actually what I promised first. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you guys like 2 or 3 more minutes to try this one. Uh, Let me see. Okay. So you know what? Just wondering, what does the Amos, do you know what your error says? Does it say something specific for your error? Usually type error not. Oh, oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember. Like I know why this is. So for now, don't worry about using the input function. So input basically asks for this, since I didn't go over this in last class. Input basically takes user input and and it you can take whatever the user gets. And yeah, Angela is correct. And basically when you every input is converted is you return it returns a string. So like even if you did num is equal to input number, let's say you were type 10, it'll be the string 10 rather than the number 10. So you'd have to convert that into an integer before you could use conditionals on it. So um anyways, we have I'll use the input function for this one. So input um say number. But we need to make sure that num is actually never mind. I'll just start with integers equal to 12. So let's say num is equal to 12. Um, our goal for this is to check if num is within 2 of a multiple of 10. And there's a so what we can do is we can first take this number and find whatever it is mod 10, which will give us the remainder. So find the remainder. And if the remainder is less than 2, less than or equal to 2, that means then we'll return, we'll print true. However, as you see here, 19 also prints true, and that remainder is the remainder when divided by 10 is 9. So we can also check if the remainder is greater than or equal to 8, right? Since if it's 8, then it's also within 2. Then we'll print true as well. And then otherwise print false. I'll do this. I have our our outline for the code. We're gonna start actually coding it. So we'll do if actually let's see. So remainder is equal to num mod 10. That should return the remainder when num is divided by 10. And then so if remainder is less than or equal to 2, then print true. But else if remainder, so if the remainder is not less than 2, the next thing we want to check for if it's greater than or equal to 8. So else if remainder, oh, it's not else, it's elif. It's elif remainder is greater than or equal to 8, and we'll print true as well. And if it satisfies none of these conditions, remember we use the else statement, and we'll print false. So let's say we run this. Num12 returns true. When num is 17, that returns false, because 17 is not 17 divided by 10 is 7, and 7 is not less than 2 or greater than 8. And 18 would return true, since that 18 is within 2 of 20. And then 19 would also return true, since 19 is also within 2 of 20 as well. This one was probably by far the most difficult one we've done for conditional so far. So does anyone have any questions on this one? This last question. If you guys don't have any questions, it's make sure you guys if you guys have any question, feel free to ask me. But if not, then yeah, if not, that's great, and that'll be it as our for our club today. If you guys want, I will I believe I have all of your I should have all of your emails, so I can actually, let me just share a link right now for you guys, and I'll post the questions to you guys in the chat. Change to anyone with link, and then yeah, you guys can view it. And then since we didn't get a chance to do the last 2 questions in class yet, those 2 can be challenge questions if you wish to practice at home, just to get ahead a little bit. Oh yeah, no, you guys can probably just click on the link and view it now. So I don't think I need your emails. So those 2 last questions are they're optional homework challenge questions. If you ever feel bored, you guys can come back to these. These are pretty fun. So yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in today. That will be the end of our coding club week 2. We learned conditionals, and then we learned conditionals this week. If you guys want extra practice, you can use the link I sent in chat, or you guys can go to Coding Bat when there's many questions. And yeah, okay. All right, I hope everyone has a good night and a good weekend. See you all later. Bye-bye.